The genius predictions of President Ho Chi Minh. Speaking of President Ho Chi Minh, no matter how much we talk about him, we could never fully describe or express his greatness. 104 years ago, on June 5th, 1901, President Ho left Narong Wharf to embark on a journey in search of a way to save the country. What is remarkable here is that at that time, he was only 21 years old, an age when many today still rely on their parents for financial support. Yet he was already deeply concerned with the liberation of his people. Perhaps after 30 years abroad, he gained a comprehensive perspective on the world. That's why, whenever major events occurred, he could predict them years in advance. For instance, in 1954, after the victory at Dien Bien Phu, a battle that shook the world, everyone was jubilant. However, President Ho remained cautious. He warned his generals not to celebrate too soon. He pointed out that the United States had been secretly aiding France in its attempt to control Indochina. Now that France had lost, the U.S. would surely step in. He urged them to prepare for an inevitable war against America. And indeed, everything unfolded just as he had foreseen. More specifically, he believed that fighting the U.S. would be far more challenging than fighting France. The Americans had superior firepower, advanced air forces, and most notably, the formidable B52 bombers. As early as 1962, 10 years before the U.S. launched its B52 bombing campaign against Hanoi, President Ho asked Colonel Phung Thai, then commander of the Air Defense Forces, "Do you know anything about the B52?" This question left the colonel speechless. On a spring evening in 1968, President Ho again spoke to Phung Thai, now Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army. His first question was, once again, about the B-52. He firmly stated, "Sooner or later, the U.S. will bring the B-52s to bomb Hanoi, and only when they lose in Hanoi's skies will they admit defeat. You must remember, before signing the armistice in Panmunjom, the U.S. had completely devastated Pyongyang. In Vietnam, the U.S. will definitely lose, but they will only surrender after being defeated in the skies over Hanoi. Your mission is critical." These predictions proved astonishingly accurate. By late 1972, when the U.S. launched its B-52 attacks on Hanoi, they suffered devastating losses. Thousands of articles and hundreds of books have since been written, all trying to answer one question. How did a country with vastly inferior economic and military resources, using only anti-aircraft artillery, MiG-21 fighters, and SAM-2 missiles, manage to bring down dozens of B-52 bombers, the pride of American aviation? For the world, this question remains complex. But for the Vietnamese people, the answer is simple. Our victory came from the genius mind and far-sighted vision of President Ho Chi Minh. Not only that, but on the occasion of Vietnam's 15th National Day on September 2nd, 1960, in his speech, he declared, "If the entire people unite, persist in the struggle, then at the latest, in 15 years, our country will be reunified. North and South will be one family again." Interestingly, he circled the phrase "at the latest" in 15 years, but neither erased it nor read it aloud. Some believe that he did this to emphasize that victory would not come by waiting. It would come through the unity and relentless struggle of the entire nation. And exactly 15 years later, in the spring of 1975, with the historic Ho Chi Minh campaign, Vietnam was reunified. Perhaps it was this extraordinary ability to foresee the future that led Dr. Le Tham Duong to remark in one of his speeches, according to probability theory, it would take 1,000 years to find another leader like President Ho Chi Minh. He was the first president of Vietnam, and from then until now, millions of Vietnamese people have remembered him with deep gratitude. A phrase forever engraved in the hearts of the Vietnamese, eternal gratitude to our great President Ho Chi Minh.